Hi everyone, welcome to our podcast, Mindful Minutes. This is your host, Tanay Sarpoddar. Mindful Minutes is a platform to brainstorm marketing ideas and strategies specifically for small and medium businesses. This is our episode 1 of season 1. I am super excited and I hope you will be too when we look into these marketing gems together. I am grateful to our sponsor, Marinoid, the marketing agency designed to empower SMBs, for making this podcast possible. They are helping us bring you the best insights in B2B marketing. For the first episode, we have Kunal Shah, a healthcare marketer, microbiologist, alcohol technologist, and above all, a dear friend. We've worked together and brainstormed countless ideas while working together, and even beyond that. So it made perfect sense for me to invite him and let the world know about his 360-degree marketing vision. Hey Kunal, thank you and welcome to our Mindful Minutes podcast, episode 1, season 1.
Hey, hi Tanay. Thank you so much for inviting me for your first episode of Mindful Minutes. Really very super excited to be here with you. And as usual, we can talk on ends about marketing. I remember we have done that for a long period of time. Let's do the same here on the podcast, and let's with an expanded audience, where we talk about marketing a lot.
Absolutely. Hashtag casual, as we say. So before we embark on these marketing lines, let me start by sharing an anecdote. I have always believed that there is one incident or a particular thing that sparks or paves way for our future. For me, I love sports. I even represented my game on bigger platforms. But during all those years, one thing always intrigued me. How does one define the right team or combination? It cannot always be the current performance or just an experience. This thought has always led my career. The fundamental question, why? So what's your sparking incident, Kunal? You've been in marketing, B2B marketing for a good 12 plus years. Do tell us what inspires you still.
That's a tough question, actually. But if I look back, I have been part of, during my school years, even in my college years, and across my life, I have been very much involved in doing a lot of different events, at different stages of my life. And every event, there is a lot of headache behind the event management, right? You have to manage vendors. Some people agree to it, some people don't. Then there are cost pressures. So there are a lot of things to keep on balancing constantly on phone. Last minute, someone will say, I won't be able to do this. You have to find another vendor, and a number of things in an event management. And one of my friend who was very near and dear to me, one day we were just sitting and chit-chatting, and he was talking about, why do you want to take so much headache? And that was the point when I realized that I never felt it as a headache, because every time I used to do an event, there was something new that needs to be done. And every time an event discussion sparks up, my point is, hey, what can we do different in this event? So that experimentation mindset is somewhere or the other already imbibed. Even today, if you talk about a campaign, if you talk about an event or any scenario, 2 or 3 ideas will start popping up in my mind, basically. So that conversation actually helped me understand that experimentation is something that I love the most. And one of the fields that would let me do a lot of experimentation is marketing. And I think because of that entering nature of experimentation is where the inclination towards marketing also came in later in the life. But that was the element where I thought that this is the mindset that I have, experimentation, and that wherever, if it had been marketing, well and good, but if not marketing, everywhere whichever field I have chosen, I would be in the same phase where the minute you get a new task, you start getting 2 or 3 ideas in your mind.
Awesome. See, that's Kunal for you guys, a 360-degree marketer. Uh, on that note, when does one become a 360-degree marketer?
Oh, so I think a lot of people have asked me, and I know it's not that it's my term or anything. It's a very common industry term that we need a 360-degree marketer. Okay, but lately not many people talk about it, and I think after digital marketing especially came in, okay, you started getting a lot of experts in specific field, and it's not that earlier we didn't have any experts. Okay, earlier also we had people who used to manage public relations, then we had communication people. It should be a different team, and then there is on-field marketing team, which is little different, right? So earlier also you had that differentiation basically. Okay, but with digital marketing, what happened is people started becoming very niche experts basically. Okay, so you will see an SEO expert, you will see a paid advertising expert, you will see an content expert, you will see a social media expert. So there are a lot of experts that have started coming up with a very narrow thought process for that specific area. Okay, and I think that is what is something that I don't think a marketer should think about. Okay, they can start that career with being a very specialist in each area. Okay, but I think a good marketer has to be a generalist and not a specialist. Okay, and I'm saying this both from a marketing angle and also from the business angle. Okay, the more you go through all the business integrities, you know your business in and out, you become a really good marketer, right? So rather than focusing on, and I mean, I'm not saying that you don't need to know the deep knowledge about each of these sectors. You definitely need to know about it. Okay, so you start your career with a specialist, but the problem is nowadays people just want to have their career in that specific area. Okay, and that is where I think the term 360-degree marketer holds a much more bigger value, because as you grow in the value chain of the marketing channels, or even in your organization, if you want to become a VP or a CMO, having a hold on all the things together is what will help you make progress. So being a generalist is something that will help you progress in your career if you are looking at marketer's career. Being a specialist may not, and that's where I'm coming to the point that everybody should be a 360-degree marketer.
True that. And the ultimate goal is for everybody is a seamless journey. To define that, you need to have that understanding, a holistic understanding. So for our viewers, let me just share something more. Kunal was aware of enterprise space when we first met. I was more on the startups and SMB side. So together, our team completed the vision for understanding the entire industry segment. So later on, we shared a lot of notes and we did overlap, but our strong points still remain. Personally, for me, SMBs has always intrigued me. They have passion, they have zeal, there's an aspiration, and in fact, they have everything to lose, yet they are open to learning new things and are ready to take the risk. The founders or entrepreneurs have a vast industry experience and bring in different ways to look at a problem, just like how a marketer should also do. And I've worked with a bunch of startups over a course of my journey, most of them being B2B. B2C is always a different beast. You remember, we've worked together on a bunch of them, Kunal. So you know that. In fact, it's time our viewers also know how your Chacha Chaudhary brain works. Coming to our core, critical marketing elements for B2B companies. That's our topic for today. How do you look at it?
So, what I would like to clearly indicate here is, for me at least, there are only 4 critical elements basically. Okay, that every marketer should be aware of, especially an SMB marketer, especially for them. Okay, and that four elements that everybody should have a clear hold on are: A, strategy, okay, B, communication objective, C, joint goals, and then your channels for marketing, basically. Okay, what I have seen multiple times in my career is that when someone asks about what are the critical elements or what are the different elements that we can use, and people jump on to actually the channels. Okay, and we'll talk about those channels a little later, but I think the core of any marketing, okay, or any marketing strategy for that matter, is understanding your overall business strategy. That's very important. That has to be your critical element, that what is your business strategy. Okay, then the second biggest core or critical element becomes communication objectives, and I think we need to expand a little bit more on communication objectives, because 90% of the marketeers make a mistake here, that they start working on marketing without defining their communication objectives very clearly.
Absolutely.
And I think that is where at the end of the day, you come to realize that, oh, I wanted to position my company as this, but over a period of communication, I have now positioned my company as XYZ rather than ABC. Okay, so that has been always been a critical discomfort, especially if you look at from a consumer standpoint. भाई कहना क्या चाहते हो, right? That common term, that is what is always missing, okay, in most of the communications, and that is where most of the mistakes are done. I have never seen a communication plan, or rather a marketing plan, where the first sheet is said that what is your communication objective, what is that you want to communicate about your brand. Okay, do you want to communicate you are a trustworthy brand? Do you want to communicate that you are knowledgeable, informative brand? Or do you want to communicate that you are a customer-centric brand? Okay, what is that you want to communicate? Without defining your communication objective, it's impossible to have a good marketing plan in place, because at the end of the day, you will not achieve the true results of marketing, which is not just lead generation or ROI, but also creating a brand. Okay, so and communication objectives plays a very important role there. So that's one of the very critical elements. The third critical element, I would say, is joint goals, and I think the word to emphasize here is joint. Okay, the reason I'm saying this is marketing definitely has their goals. Many organizations define their goals. Okay, but I have many a times seen that their sales goal or their business goals are not aligned with marketing goals. Okay, or rather I should say the other way, marketing goals are not aligned with their sales or business goals. Okay,
Correct.
so if your sales goal is to make sure that you deep dive into a specific account or specific set of accounts, or you have a dream accounts list and you want to just chase that dream account list, your marketing has to be account based marketing, and that's it. You don't need to do anything else. As against that, I have seen where a lot of organizers or a lot of SMBs, especially SMBs, make this mistake, that their focus is to grow specific accounts, growing specific accounts, but their marketing is blanket marketing or carpet bombing, basically. Okay, so their marketing is trying to find new opportunities into the market, while their sales and their business strategy is to grow their current accounts.
Correct.
Okay. And that is where the mismatch starts happening. Now, then you will say that marketing, because when a new business is brought into the sales channel, sales does not appreciate that, because that's not what his goal is. Okay, or neither the management appreciates that. Okay, and then marketeer always feels that they are not putting enough effort to convert a new sale, basically. Okay, while new sale is welcome sale for everybody, how much effort you are going to spend behind that defines whether you will be able to convert that new sales into an opportunity, right? So that is where the mismatch happens, and I think that is where defining joint goal becomes one of the major critical elements for marketing. Okay, and then selection of channels. Basically, there are multiple channels to do marketing, and how you pick and choose based on your strategy, based on your communication objective that you want to achieve, and based on your goals that you want to achieve with sales and leadership, then you can define what channels you want to use basically. To bring a long story short, I think there are four critical elements. Make sure your business strategy, you know your business strategy in and out. You know your communication objectives in and out. You have joint goals defined, and then go ahead and pick and choose the channels that you want. The first three objectives or elements are to be discussed with sales and business leaders. Okay, and the last one is something that you have the leeway to. So once you understand all these three first critical elements, the last element of channels is something that you have to now take a decision. That based on the above three elements, what will be my fourth element, and what are the components of those fourth element.
This is amazing, Kunal. You're right. Generally, grammatically, or people do a generalized research and they figure out that only looking at target audience, value props, or directly jumping into channels like content, social, online and offline events are usually the most critical ones. But they forget how you should perceive critical marketing elements in general. Measuring, tracking, all of it is correct, but the key alongside has to be consistent, be patient, and if required, get help from marketing leaders to understand how marketing should run or what is required to run. I have experienced a lot of confusing communication threads if you don't do that. While we are at this strategy level discussions, any challenges or common misconceptions you want to address?
Oh, there are a lot of them.
I'm sure.
So, the first common misconception, and that is where I think everything boils down to is, especially for SMBs, is are you able to convert a business? Okay. And I think it's rather, I should not say it's a misconception. Okay. But people look at marketing in isolation. They don't look at part of the funnel. Okay. And like we talk about marketing funnel, there is top layer, then there is filtered middle layer, and then there is bottom layer where you have the crux of it, basically what you need to go behind. I think similarly, marketing and sales together is a funnel, basically. Okay. And the common misconception is marketing should have a different funnel. Okay. And that funnel should lead to a lead which is like super qualified, ready to give you business. Oh, they know everything about your company and they want to give the business on a platter. Okay. That's an expectation from a marketer. Okay. And that is not how it runs, basically. Okay. So I think the first common misconception about, if you look at it, the people have is marketing will generate leads. I'm not saying they won't, okay, but leads which are super qualified. Okay?
Correct.
You have to understand how marketing works. Marketing is able to identify or curate interest in your prospective buyer, okay, and ask them to come and talk to us. That's the job of marketing. Okay, opening amazing conversations with your customer or prospects is the job of marketing. Now, if you are going to tie back revenues to that, if you are going to tie back how much sales conversion happens, then the marketer will and I have seen this, marketers start underperforming in such kind of situations.
Correct.
Right? They don't focus on creating that good interaction with the buyer. They focus on then how many of them are going to convert. Okay. So while it's still a common practice, a lot of them will say your targets are X number of MQLs or SQLs and so on and so forth. Okay. I think the world now needs to move beyond saying that beyond quantitative, but they have to move towards qualitative. Okay. Are you able to bring qualitative discussions to the table, not just quantity? If the answer is yes, then your marketing is doing good. Otherwise, 90% of the companies will say, marketing doesn't work. I need help in marketing. Because you are looking at marketing as a sales channel, right? Marketing is not a sales channel. Marketing is a supplement to a sales channel. Okay. So that is, I think, one of the biggest misconceptions. And then there are multiple misconceptions. I mean, smaller ones. The job of a marketing is to massage something, right? And I have heard this term a lot of times. Can you just massage this presentation? Can you make this presentation a little flary? Our website is not that vibrant, right? So I think, do you know what is my website to lead count conversion ratio? What website traffic to lead conversion ratio? No, but our website doesn't work well. It's the common statement. I mean, we
Correct.
need to do something exciting. Viral marketing, right? So nothing has been viral. That doesn't mean it's not working, or we don't have enough traffic on the website. Do you know we have 5,000 visitors, which are exactly the kind of profiles that we want on our visits? We don't want 10,000 visitors, we only want 5,000 visitors, or we don't want 50,000 visitors, we only want 5,000 visitors. Because out of this 5,000, we are able to generate 8-10 leads every month, right?
Correct.
That is what your goal has to be. Your goal cannot be that I want 50,000 visitors, right? Or you do some viral marketing and we need 50,000 followers. That's part and parcel of the whole game. But I mean, as a misconception, I would say this is what people expect out of it. And the most important part, the time frame given for this charade is like, this year how much did you grow? Or you grow your base by only 3,000 or 5,000 followers? No, not good, right? So I think these are most common ones, basically looking at marketing as a direct sales channel. Okay, and it happens. I'm not saying no, it happens in B2C scenario, but in B2B world, I think one has to understand how the sales cycle works. In certain cases, in certain products, the sales cycle will be small, 15 days, 1 month, while in certain areas it will be 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, 2 years, and so on and so forth, right? So one has to understand that it's not a direct sales channel. Okay, it's an assisted sales channel. It's going to help you improve your pipeline, but it's not the only thing that's going to help you improve your pipeline. Okay,
100%.
So
100%. Totally agree. And that's the reason why we chose this as a topic: critical elements. Critical elements of marketing and core elements. There are core elements also. There are several other marketing components also where SMBs invest a lot of time and money. You mentioned B2B marketing. How do you help differentiate, if you could shed light on those core components? While you're mentioning critical elements, you also mentioned components. So I'd love to know more about how you look at it.
Sure. So by components, I meant actually the fourth element that we were talking about, the channels, basically.
Correct.
Right? So you have multiple components at your disposal, actually, Tanay. Right from SEO to paid advertising, to doing social, to doing content syndication, to doing thought leadership, public relations, analyst relations, awards and accolades, events, both online and offline events, partnerships for that matter. Okay, so these are a lot of these core components that you can use, or rather components that you can use in your marketing strategy to define what channels you will pick and choose, basically based on their objective. But I think the core of all these components is a website. Okay, and I think marketeer has to make sure that it is the prized possession of a marketing department. Okay,
You said it.
Everything has to come to a website. Okay, everything. The complete strategy that you build, what kind of content you are going to do, what kind of social media you are going to do, everything should have an anchor point in the website. Okay, that's your ecosystem. When it's like a black hole for you. When someone enters in your website, it has to suck everything about that person. He just has to move around within website. That's it. Okay, if you are able to do that, 90% of the time you will see that person, if not today, later in the journey, will make sure that he falls into your lead bucket, basically. Okay, if you don't focus on your website as the core, many people might do fantastic other channels for themselves. Okay, but if the website is not the core of your, or the anchor point of your whole strategy, then things will fall apart for you. Okay, so that is where I feel websites become the core. That is the price possession of a marketer. They should not let go, and that is the core element that needs to be defined. Okay, once you have that core element in full control, people don't invest too much in the core content. And again, that is website. You can get it done, or they don't give enough time. Okay, a website, it can be done in 1 month. Can we get the website up in 1 month? Okay, or 2 months max, right? But they don't understand what's going in a website. Okay, how your architecture is defined, what will happen if your architecture goes wrong. Okay, you will, and many, I have seen this, many people struggle with the other components like SEO, because your core architecture is not well defined of your website, right? So I think components are multiple. Okay, but the core component, I would say, is a website. That is something that has to be amazing from an SMB standpoint, because that is your way to rise and shine. Okay, that is, and I think that is one of the most critical ones in today's world, because everybody is going to watch your website. Even before they talk to you, they're going to watch your website. Okay, even if you have succeeded to get a meeting with that person is going to browse you through your website first and then talk to you. Okay, so if you look at it, I believe the core component is a website for any marketer. Okay, and then you have a lot of channels to pick around that, basically. Okay, whatever social you do, paid you do, analysts, partnerships, everything that you do. Okay, while partnership or analyst might involve a lot of other elements, even events, but to make an event exciting, you need an anchor point on the website, right? You need to have appointments done, appointment setup done, and everything. And all that happens if you have a good website, compelling images and everything as a part of your journey, so that he comes, he gets wowed, and then it falls into your bucket, basically.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is super helpful. You're trying to hit two birds in one shot. That is wonderful. And I've even heard people saying they don't need a website, or do I really need a website, without understanding why a website is required. So you rightly mentioned that website is at the core. I've seen other components like branding. It looks easy, but it isn't. Ultimately, you need a website. What is it that you're going to brand? Content marketing, email, SMM, public relations, you mentioned all of them. SEO. They have long-term benefits, but are mostly underrated. People see a lot of new things coming in with AI for PPC, SEM. But where is this ultimately going to go? It has to go into the core element, which is the website. You're also right, there are a host of others, but these are the ones that SMBs must invest, especially the website. Secondly, B2B, as we're talking on that topic, is more ROI focused. It's driven more by logic, financial incentives rather than emotions in B2C. There's a lot which can be talked about with respect to B2C, B2B, but maybe that's for some other day for us to research. We might even come out with a podcast on that one in future. But to sum up, B2B has a long cycle, but the relations are long term. I'm sure SMBs must understand the difference and imbibe it as a second skin before running any campaign. The way you've tried to explain how website drives everything, that's how they have to also understand and imbibe what is it that they are running into, whether they are in a B2B environment or a B2C environment. There are others like B2B2B, B2B2C, and a host of others, but they have to understand first what is it that really drives it. This episode is really building up. I love this. Moving on, how can B2B companies effectively leverage, let's say, you mentioned content marketing in their strategies?
So I think, good. So I think if you look at it, once you have defined your communication objective, that what you want to communicate, that is where you flow into your content strategy, basically. Okay. So let's say for example, I want to communicate that I am a thought leader, basically. Okay. Now that will define what would be my channels or way my content would work, basically. Okay. I want to be a thought leader, and again, I think one has to take a very cautious decision when someone wants to be a thought leader. Nowadays, everybody is a thought leader because everybody writes blogs, right? So that's not the case, right? when you say you want to become a thought leader, and there's a lot of investment that goes to become a thought leader, A, and B, you genuinely need to be a thought leader in that space, right? If a company is doing a very superficial work in a specific area, and they say that I want to become a thought leader, it doesn't match some way or the other, right? Let's say, for example, in IT services or IT world, let's say, for example, where you and me have been involved a lot, right? A company who does a very superficial work, resource augmentation and this and that, they want to become thought leaders in their areas. Okay, do they have enough material to become thought leaders? Maybe not, maybe yes. Okay, but for them, being thought leader is getting few blogs out, writing few white papers and ebooks, doing some webinars, and that is what thought leadership is all about. No, you have to be in a commanding position to become a thought leader. And I'm not saying that you always have to be in the commanding position, right? You don't have to be Deloitte's or McKinsey's of the world every time. Okay. What I mean by being a commanding position is you know your subject well. Okay. You know it in and out, and that is when you should start doing thought leadership. Okay. So defining your communication objective has to be well aligned in your business process, that where am I at what stage I am, can I be perceived. A startup can also be a thought leader. I'm not saying no to that. Okay, don't get that wrong impression that only big companies can become thought leadership. No, if you are building a very niche product, okay, and you write about that product or you write about that technology a lot, you are a thought leader in that space, right? So when you are defining your content strategy or how you can leverage the content strategy, once you define your communication objective, that I want to become a thought leader, right? So what should I focus on? Okay, now there are stages, okay, and your focus should change at every stage. For example, if you start with the journey of thought leadership, your owned assets are something that you have to look into. Okay, start building your own assets first. Like you have an ecosystem, you have good blogs, educational blogs written around it, few ebooks and white papers. Don't make it a big habit. Every month I'm releasing 4 ebooks, no, or white papers, no. Right? Come out with 1 white paper or 1 ebook or 2 ebooks a month max. Okay, but they have to be super relevant to the topic. Okay, many a times people and nowadays people have to be very cautious. ChatGPT can give them everything, a good written ebook in minutes. But then that is where the differentiation will come, basically, right? That ChatGPT will give you a generic idea. Okay, you have to embed your thought process in that. Okay, so when you write those ebooks or white papers, that has to be the main crux. What is your thought process? What is your take on it? Okay, because information is available everywhere. It's not that it's not available, right? So your take on it, your thought on it is something that makes you differentiate. So let's say, and coming back to our example, let's say we want to be a thought leader. Then we say that, okay, start doing ebooks, start doing blogs, initially on your own media, like your blog channel. You can open a Medium channel or some other channel, a third-party channel, and start doing that. Okay. The next stage is where you expand a little bit. Okay. Now you have an ecosystem created at home. Okay. Now you take some part of that ecosystem, rewrite it in a little better fashion, because now you'll have the insights. People have read through it, right? So you'll get a good feedback. Reword that, remash it. You also will grow with that, and then start doing third-party publications, basically, right? So now if you look at it, my content strategy initially involved creating content on my own channels. Then in the phase 2, I'm making sure that my content is now dissipated across different channels, right? I'm not doing it on my own channel. I'm trying to do it on third-party channels. Okay, that is when your thought leadership will actually come to the next stage, basically. Okay, so coming to how to leverage content marketing, this is how you will leverage it, basically. Okay, you do phase-wise approach. You pick up the right channels you want to do. Now, let's say, for example, your content. Let's take another example. Your product is something that does not have a big sales cycle. Okay, your product is something that needs lot. Unless and until people see it, they don't get the value out of it. If your product is that, then videos is your content marketing channel, right? Or reels is your content marketing channel, because people need to see it in front of their eyes to understand what it is, right? So if your product is that or your service is that people will get a feel only when they see it, then you use different channels, right? So based on your communication objective, you have to define what kind of marketing or content channels I'll start using, right? And like I said, like third channel in the first thought leadership example, what will be the next phase? Doing content syndication, doing joint webinars with third parties, right? You going and speaking in events as speaker slot and something like that. Okay. But while you do all this, always remember that every content marketing piece, okay, has to have your point of view. Okay. That's the most important part for any content marketing strategy. It has to bring your point of view. If you are not able to bring that in your content marketing strategy, then I don't think it would work every time for you. Okay. You might do some social media, you will get followers, you will start seeing people on the website. All that things will start flowing in. But those are very secondary metrics to measure marketing. Okay. Those are not your primary metrics. Your metrics has to be that, do people in the industry look up to you? If your goal is thought leadership, people in the industry may not put you in the McKinsey bucket, but next to McKinsey, the right consulting company is this, because you have to go and you have to be projected like that, right?
Yeah.
So your marketing strategy based on your communication objective, define the channels, and then in channels also start taking a phase-wise approach. Don't jump all the guns at the same time.
Correct. And it is going to grow. It's not like with one strategy itself, you're directly going to become a thought leader. It has to be a consistent effort. You're right. So the reason why I asked this for people to know is, Kunal is an avid promoter of content being the king, which is why you see there are a lot of ideas that are coming through as he's speaking. And on a lighter note, we've seen people give marks internally to content while pushing online. They have to understand who is this content meant for, who should be giving the marks. It has to come from the audience. They will tell you whether your content is working or performing or not. Your perspective is what matters. You have to understand for whom the content is intended. Okay. On the topic of marks, what should be the essential KPIs for measuring success for these campaigns?
You will get a lot of KPIs, a lot of it. I think, and I think that's the beauty of digital marketing, right? It has given you so much. It has given marketers so much arsenal to go and present their case in front of management that I can't believe. I mean, earlier it was very few metrics that people could talk about, but now you have multiple metrics that you can take to your management and say that how marketing is doing good. Okay. And obviously, people will talk about website traffic, there are views, how many MQLs generated, MQLs to SQL conversion, SQL to customer conversion, right? Or even social media engagement analytics, web analytics, CRM engagement rate. So let marketing handle the top of the funnel, while middle and bottom of the funnel should actually be handled by sales teams, basically. Okay. So initial stage, focus on these areas, that is lead conversion, ROI, and those kind of areas. But as you grow, as an SMB becomes bigger and bigger, that is when they can start leveraging what is my sentiment analytics, what is my conversion or engagement rate, and so on and so forth.
Correct.
There are multiple ways you can measure KPIs, and I think that's how an SMB should differentiate between what KPIs are important at what stage.
Absolutely. You're right. In fact, that's the reason why digital marketing became famous. You could do that. I also believe that KPIs should be strongly aligned to goals. They should be measurable, relevant, achievable, but they should also be realistic. You should understand what stage you are in and then define the goal. It's conversion rate or ROIs. When should you focus on that? Website traffic, views, leads. When you should be focusing on that? Share of voice, customer satisfaction or engagement. When it is important? Basically, it's all numbers. So since we're talking on lead gen, let me add one more question to this. What could be a lead gen strategy for B2B?
Oh, okay. Um, I think that's a very difficult question to answer, to be very, very upfront. Okay, because there are multiple things taken into consideration. Okay, so for example, based on based on your stage, based on your size, your lead generation strategies should differ. Okay, so initially, I think organizations can focus more on digital channels. Okay, because there is a clear ROI defined to it. Okay, and lot of information is available when you do digital campaigns or digital marketing. Basically, okay, you know what is the volume, you know what is the intent, so you can make a good guesstimate out of it. Okay, that this is what I'll get. While there is a lot of experimentation involved, but this is what I get. Okay, so if you are a growing SMB or an initial stage SMB, digital marketing becomes a good starting point. Okay, having said that, you also need to understand that does your product or service has good intent in the market, in search engine. Basically, when I say in the market, I mean search engine. Then only your digital would work, or social would work well, basically, because your intent is directly available to you, basically. Okay, that should be your
Absolutely.
first lead gen strategy. As you grow in, you can leverage a little more expensive but quality leading or quality conversations happening. That is through events, right? That is through analysts.
Correct.
That is through branding. That is where you can start investing more, because
Yeah.
now you are not much concerned on ROI. Now you are trying to build a different image. You are trying to communicate something, and that is where the second stage of your lead generation may not be direct lead generation. It can be through channels like branding, events, and stuff like that. It will have both direct leads and indirect leads. And just to let you know, and all the audience that we might have, I have seen this as a trend in 3 to 4 companies. Okay, the biggest of the accounts in these companies have come through marketing and not through sales.
Correct.
Okay, but I've also seen that because they have invested in right channels at the right time. Okay, I have seen companies where they have invested events very early in their stage, spend a lot of money, but nothing coming out. Okay, and there are companies who have invested in events later in the stage where they got some size, something in that to talk about, and then they have leveraged the maximum benefit out of it. What it means is, it doesn't mean that you don't have to go to an event. Okay? You can be an attendee for an event. You don't have to sponsor an event, basically, is what I'm trying to say, right? So picking the right channel
Correct.
at the right stage becomes very important.
Absolutely. You're right. And I'm sure, this discussion can go on and on. We love talking, and we love discussing more insights into it. I have 15, 20 more questions that I can ask you as we discuss. But for the sake of our first podcast, let me try and sum it up to ask you from a current perspective. There is a ongoing recession. People say there are a lot of technology innovations that are coming up, or even the market conditions are changing. So, what do you think SMBs should do to better adapt to this? If you can summarize it for us.
Okay, so to adapt to these changing conditions, I think the only way to adapt to these changing conditions is embrace them. Okay,
Correct.
marketing is one channel where you can be at the forefront of embracing everything. Okay, that's the channel. Your sales cannot embrace everything on day one. Your manufacturing, if you are in a manufacturing world, or your services cannot embrace everything immediately upfront, basically, but marketing can. For example, ChatGPT or even generative AI, look at it. Okay, that's a new way of doing marketing, right? Does it take away marketeer's job? No, it doesn't.
Correct.
Okay, so I think from a SMB standpoint, from a marketeer standpoint, embracing that change is something that is most important, because you will be able to craft creative campaigns out of it. Okay, so every turmoil is a good turmoil for a marketeer, because now you have one more channel or one more communication communication piece at your disposal, communication idea at your disposal, right? So think of it, right? If things never changed, uh, writing a what is generative AI blog would not have been possible, right?
Correct.
Do you write what is SEO in today's world? No, you don't write that blog because there are thousands and thousands of articles written about it.
Correct.
Right? So every new change in technology, every new such change gives the marketer the opportunity to come back to the basics and start writing from basics. A new channel to talk about, a new area to talk about, a new segment to talk about, right? So I think the only way to do it is embrace it.
Wonderful, wonderful way to summarize it. Embrace change. And I know why you can say that. You're an avid learner yourself. You do read a lot, you do embrace it. I remember ChatGPT 3.5, you've already been using it, even though the other versions have gone, but when it came, you're the first one to use it. So, on wrapping up this podcast, what resources or books would you recommend our listeners if they want to deep dive into B2B marketing?
So, Tana, I won't give you a direct book name or anything like that. Okay, I don't want to do that. Everybody will have their favorites. Being a content marketer or being a marketer, at least we should be the people who can say that
all books are good. Correct. No, I totally get it. Thank you, Kunal. You've been wonderful, sharing a lot of insights on this very first episode. There are so many points for SMBs to take up, and also for our fellow marketers. I would love to know how you guys felt about this episode. Thank you once again for the listeners who have tuned in. The next episode will come hopefully later this month and with yet another marketing leader. So stay tuned with Mindful Minutes. Do share, rate, review this channel and follow me on LinkedIn for more updates. Remember, marketing is not a cost center, it's an investment center. Let's treat it like one. This is Tanay Sarpotdar on Mindful Minutes. Until next time, Namaskar. Take care.